actually read this book recently, and they pointed it out to me by Daniel G. Amen. Pointed out he thought that there are about 6 different kinds of ADD, and I never thought of this before, but it's actually very interesting, and I found myself being able to relate to, especially the third one. But I'll go through and talk a little bit about these. So the first one he calls classic ADD, which means that people with this are usually distractible, disorganized, restless, or impulsive. The next one, inattentive ADD, also distractible. And then he said that instead of being hyperactive, he sees them as a little bit more sluggish. And then overfocused ADD, which is the one I identify with, they usually worry a lot, or they're very compulsive. And the fourth one, temporal lobe ADD, people with this kind of ADD, he describes as having a quick temper, or that they're mildly paranoid. The fifth one, limbic ADD, he describes them as moody or low energy. And then the sixth one, ring of fire ADD, deals with aggression or anger. And so I'm going to focus on over-focus ADD, so number 3. And some things that I identify with for this would be the worrying excessively, or usually people that have this get stuck in negative thought. And usually I fill my plate way too full with all of these extracurricular activities and things that I have to do. So I do find myself worrying a lot, and part of that is dealing with ADD, but also part of that might just be that I overbook myself. And then another thing that I found interesting about the overfocus ADD that I identify with is, he said that it's like slight OCD or perfectionism. And I find that it's really hard for me to, things have to be a certain way, and it's hard for me to let go of that. And this is hard in group work, especially for me, because things have to be done a certain way, and if they're not done the specific way that I want them to be done, then it kind of drives me crazy. But over the course of my life, I didn't know that I had ADD early on, but my parents found out, and my teachers discovered this when I was in elementary school. And they noticed it, even though it was kind of hard to spot. But because I didn't know that I had it, I thought And so they should be treated differently instead of treated completely the same and put in a group together. They should really, people should think about why or like how each person learns. For me, that's helped a lot to know that all of my teachers care about me and know certain things that help me or don't help, and that they've been able to treat me like an individual